Yahoo, good evening ladies and gentlemen, the stream will start in just a moment. I wasn't very satisfied with yesterday, so let's try it again. Also, I rolled quite a monster now. You might not look like this, but after I spent my points, it will. Let's still pick that name. Let's pick this and this. And let's go on our spending spree. Charisma. Strong boy, strong man. It certainly needs to go up. Still got few points. $72, $70, $70, $70. What can we get better? Yeah, more coverage. Let's stick to prime pectoral. Still 1 point left. Hey, sketchy. Spent all our points and we have created quite a monster. Okay, this is good. Okay. The First War lasted for over 20 years. Conflict had only been a matter of time. The relentless expansion of Rome came close to the huge Carthaginian sphere of influence. A young power propelled by a staggering self-confidence, Rome had most of the Italic peninsula at the time. On the other side of the was the Punic city of Carthage, a centuries-old naval colossus dominating the western Great Sea. An insurmountable gap in reach seemed to divide the two cities. Unexpectedly, the Roman Republic emerged victorious. Incomplete as the victory was, building upon its success, the city's maritime territory grew secure. while humiliating conditions well beyond the actual extent of the defeat were imposed upon Carthage. Nevertheless, the price was tremendous for both parties. Some say Alexander's conquest devoured so many lives. It all paled compared to what was to come. The truce that followed lasted for a generation. You were a child when the situation hovered on the brink of again. You still remember the talk in Rome back then, when everybody expected the looming conflict to take place in the distant colonies of Hispania to the west, now that an attack by sea was nigh impossible. The astonishment when the news reached the city is still fresh in your memory. A bold, not yet 30 Carthaginian general named Hannibal Barca had led an army through the lands of the fierce Gauls and across the mountains to the north. The war here in Italia, a few hundred miles from Rome itself. The war was here in Italia, a few hundred miles of Rome itself. The following years were marked by growing panic as reports of whole armies annihilated by Hannibal kept coming. The Punic general was stronger, smarter than anything Rome before or after. Yet his attempt to turn the Italic allies on the Republic was unsuccessful. Defeating him in a pitched battle was beyond the realms of possibility. That much was clear to the Romans. At the same time, he could not lay siege to the capital. The conflict turned into an endless war of attrition. Meanwhile, another war was being fought in Hispania, crucial to prevent reinforcement from joining Hannibal. About a year ago, the Roman legions were soundly defeated, and their commanders, Proconsul Publius Cornelius Scipio and his brother were killed. What little remained of the army was now controlling a small patch of land. Even after reinforcements joined the survivors, the situation looked more desperate than ever. When the Centuriate Assembly had to appoint a new proconsul, only Scipio's son, a young man still in his 20s, stepped forward. No one else wished to take on such a hopeless assignment. You, on the other hand, had no choice at all. Bien. Oh no. Right after you had come of age, you were enrolled, conscripted in a freshly raised legion, part of a second 11,000 strong reinforcement to accompany the new proconsul. After a brief training period, you embarked on a long journey to Hispania. Yay, son! Now you've reached your destination and joined what is left of the army. Apparently, with the Romans out of the picture, the Carthaginians had divided into 3 large hosts, each of them at least as big as your current force. They are a long way from your headquarters, committed to secure, so far away from your home that you can hardly comprehend the distance, with little to no chance of ever seeing your family again, deprived of most of the rights you held as a civilian. You feel as you prepare to face the hardships to come. Bien. You've known Quintus Labienus since you now is in the same maniple as you. You have noticed that he's been acting very nervously as of late. Ask him what is wrong. After a little persuasion, you convince him to spit it out. You remember that Quintus lost his father in the disaster of Cannae about 6 years ago. Then again, there is hardly anyone in Rome who has not lost someone on that grievous day. Up to 80,000 Romans, by the way. Your leaders believed they could crush Hannibal's army by sheer force of numbers. He proved them wrong, the harshest lesson ever taught in living memory, or since. Been waiting for a chance to fight back for such a long time, and yet now that his opportunity is drawing near, his fear of dying in the impending battles is prevailing. One can hardly blame him, considering armies face disaster on this after disaster since the war began. After sharing his concerns with you, Quintus looks overtly relieved. He thanks you for the talk and goes about his business. The army's discipline is of utmost importance to the proconsul. Endless grueling marches like this one are not uncommon. On the move for hours, with many miles still to go before you can camp. The man to your right looks exhausted. His water ration is already gone, he won't last much longer. Let's give him some. And so little water, you manage to carry on until it's time to camp. 私はスーパーマンだよ。Your physical prowess gives you significant whenever you are sent to gather firewood. You regularly perform better than average and even remedy your comrades' shortcomings. Receive my pay. You have a good time spending some of your hard-earned money. Your endurance has increased. Time is over. Move on to the next main battle as soon as you feel ready. We improved quite a lot. The camp bursts into activity as the whole army prepares to leave. You march to the south. It doesn't take long for your destination to become apparent. You are bound for New Carthage, the capital of the Carthaginian colonies here in Hispania. It's a daring move and very, very risky. Several days later, you reach the camp not far from the city. According to camp talk, the closest enemy army is about 10 days' march from here. A long siege is out of the question. You'll have to take New Carthage by storm. You cast a glance at the city. Strong stone walls. The thought of fighting your way up there makes your stomach churn. It's not hard to think that you may be looking at the place where your days will end. Okay, continue. Well, there's nothing else that we can do. The next morning, your maniple is among the first to move out of the camp and reach the plain right in front of the city. If what your centurion said is true, the garrison consists of a small mercenary army, possibly 1,000 strong, and of course the city militia. You're filled when all of a sudden cries of alarm rise from the ranks. You look ahead with a start. The city gate is wide open. A screaming mass numbering thousands leaves the safety of the walls, quickly closing the gap with your deployed first line. Judging by their scant equipment, they must be the militia. The enemy commander wouldn't risk his precious mercenaries like this. Blood. You get ready to receive them as the first battle of your life engulfs you. I'm gonna take a small check, really. Yeah. Okay. あ、待て。行きましょう。When the other side is at the right distance, you prepare to hurl your first javelin. Let's try this. Yes! Your target is wounded and falls back, causing some disarray. That was a nice throw. As the other side gets closer and closer, you steel yourself for the incoming fight. PM. My first kill. That's my second kill. Killing machine. Ouch. Eventually the enemy formation starts breaking apart very soon. Panic spreads as their wavering turns into a rout. The Carthaginian militia is in disarray. For a brief moment you stare at the bodies scattered across the ground. A few legionnaires, but the vast majority are militiamen. In the ensuing chaos you barely have time to think about your first kill. An improvised pursuit is attempted, but your vanguard is stopped at the city gate before it can break in. Okay, so I shouldn't, because this is a very fun thing. It's very, very historical. If you get past this check, the Centurio beckons to some of your comrades. After a brief talk, they move away from the maniple. You wonder what is going on? The rest of you will storm the city walls. Many ladders are being propped up against the walls, while a constant shower of missiles is raining down from the battlements. The Centurion promises to share a generous portion of his reward, should he manage to be the first man over the wall. Let's do our best. You're one of the first to spring forward, determined to open the way. You're climbing as quickly as you can. The defender should have a hard time taking aim at you, but your bold action is still leaving you quite exposed. You feel two missiles bouncing off your shield. The defender's resistance gets more and more reckless with despair. There's no way to reach the top. At least the Centurion has noticed your intrepid efforts. The cacophony is unbearable. Cries from both enemies and allies blend with the thuds of stones and smaller projectiles bouncing all around you. Suddenly the noise begins to dwindle and fade. You can't believe what you're seeing. Hundreds of Roman legionaries are running along the top of the wall, coming from the north. How did they get there? Anyhow, the Punics are melting before them, leaving the battlements unguarded. In the end, your allies reach the gate and open it, letting in the bulk of your legions. You follow your maniple into the city streets. Your orders are very clear. Secure the city by killing everything that meets you in the open. Hopefully, nobody will be so ill-considered. Your thoughts are interrupted when a small number of militiamen stand in your path. Oi. My kill. You look at the militiaman's lifeless body, quick thoughts flickering through your mind. I pity him. Drafted into service, forced to fight to defend his home. It does ring a bell. You wonder about the people waiting for him at home, never to see him come back. An officer yelling out orders brings you back down to earth with a bump. You move on. You keep marching along the streets. As is custom, looting is strictly prohibited until the battle is over. Let's not loot. Wait, did I retweet the stream or did I not retweet the stream? I did not. Bien. Okay, new Carthage is almost conquered. Wait a minute. New Carthage is almost unconquered, but 500 mercenaries from the garrison are still holding the citadel. The proconsul is looking for volunteers for an assault on this last bastion. He's throwing in more than doubled loot share. These mercenaries are nothing like the militia you have been facing until now. They may not be the enemy's best troops. They wouldn't have been left here if they were. But they are still professional soldiers. Only the most experienced legionaries are volunteering. No one would blame you if you backed off. Nope, let's fight. Iki Mesho, you step forward, taking your place among the other volunteers. Your newly assembled force makes its way to the citadel. The mercenaries are waiting for you in the open. Numbers are on your side, but they have the high ground. Eh. Missed. Just one more hit. Yes! One mercenary less. Bien. Ite. At least I got one of them. Yeah, James. Yes, but not today. I forgot to... Wait a minute. Hey, Yahoo James, thank you for coming. Curse of the Moon 2, I can try it later or tomorrow. Yeah, I'll try it tomorrow. As a brief lull in the fighting allows for it. Hey. Line behind yours moves forward, but you orderly fall back. From your current position, stripping to figure out what's going on. Okay, we're swapping maniples. That's not going to work. Should be a cursor moon tree. Yes. Yes, indeed it should. There should be one. Oh, come on, hit him. Try a knock. Ah! Okay, so hit him. Come on. And we're swapping maniples again. Well, there should be a Curse of the Moon 3, but 8-bit is also good. At last, the hopelessness of their predicament prevails. The mercenaries are surrendering. The new Carthage has fallen for the first time in so many years. Changing the tides of war appear within grasp. You receive your share of the loot. Your role in the Citadel assault is rewarded. Your army has obtained a report and base of operations. The city's resources will be invaluable for the next campaign. Bones Armilla and a promotion. Although I would like Curse of the Moon 3 in 16-bit, it would be nice, but 8-bit would be also okay for me. You're having a chat with Gavius, a Samnite auxiliary of the Pendry tribe. These people and yours used to be sworn enemies, with the last war ending not even a century ago. Now they are trusted allies. Gavius has been telling you about his home, so close to where the war against Hannibal is at its worst. Okay. Yeah. You can't help thinking of yours home. There's nothing wrong with feeling homesickness after spending such a long time abroad. Living through so many days that could have been your last. Gaiden, yeah, like Double Dragon Gaiden. Your morale has increased. Again, your ability to organize the guard is irreproachable, even when you're understaffed and have to fill the gaps. Various guide, yes, that does exist. I held it in my hand quite a while ago on a fair. Javelin. You suddenly wake up. It's night and you're inside your quarters. It takes you a few seconds to become aware of the situation. There's the shadow moving slowly close to you, carefully going through your belongings. A thief! Yeah. You take him by surprise and grab hold of him. The noise wakes up your crewmate and he's soon pinned down. There he is, Gaten 94. That sounds nice. Yeah, I want to play that. I would play the heck out of that. His face looks vaguely familiar, a soldier from another maniple. You recover your money and hand him over to the guards. Yes. Yes, and here we are, trying to collect supplies again. To watch out. Nope, I only want 2 villages. Your scouts report there's something wrong with this hamlet. They've been observing it for a while and there's not a soul to be seen. Let's go in. A party of Gallic mercenaries receives you as soon as you set foot in the settlement. They've already sacked the place and now they're ready to prey upon you. Go for their leader. Let's try this again. As you approach him, he raises his long sword to strike you down. Try to lure him where he'll be at a disadvantage. It worked. Hey, in his leg. Oh, come on. Two good hits. Spite. It's dirty. He's much better equipped than the other Gauls. He must belong to a noble family. Longsword, scooter, Celtic, short chainmail. We gotta be more tactical. Yes. Oh, Kazune-san. Ah, con Kazune. O genki desu ka? Ah, bien. Connection. Ah, bien. Ping. 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 Yay! Shiori! Better protection. Dio. Mati. Ah! Rigenki wa nai desu. Doushita? Kawaisou ni. Doushite? Yoku genki ni natte kudasai, Kazune-san. Hai. Arigatou. Oyasumi. Good night, Kazune-san. Good night and sweet dreams. Mati. Kawaisou ni. The ghouls are fleeing and you are too tired to give chase. You gather the loot, all under the eye of the frightened inhabitants staring at you from behind the windows. Let's leave something for them. Matashi wa jakuna janai. The soldiers take your orders without raising so much as an eyebrow. Still one more village. No sooner have you entered Hamlet than a girl is walking towards you. You can't hide your surprise when she addresses you in Latin. Her command of your language is not perfect, but it is rather remarkable nonetheless. She seems to be about your age, yet there's something in her eyes and manners, a tangible impression of authority. She explains that her village is willing to cooperate with you, but there's only so much that they can offer without endangering their own survival. You'll have to be content with what they can share. Agree, discuss with her. You devise a hard bargain, but in the end her offer is doubled. You're glad you have been able to obtain an adequate quantity of supplies through the negotiation rather than force. Episodes like this should help win the trust of the locals. Okay, and now let's go back to camp. You've completed your mission to everyone's satisfaction. And my charisma and intellect have increased. That doesn't happen as often as I would like it. Tonight you dream about a vaguely familiar place. You're surrounded by an olive grove and smoke is rising from a large city on the horizon. Close to your left, a patch leads down. Where exactly you can't say. Let's take the path. The path trails along the slope of a hill. At the bottom, you find yourself walking on the beach. Strange, the sea looked a few thousand paces away from the grove. That is what you think as you move towards the water. Suddenly, you rise up into the air. You fly over the waves to the open sea, further and further away from the coast. You lose track of time as you're carried away by the winds. You have neither control over your direction nor any idea where you are going. Finally, you see an archipelago below and another enormous island next to it. Hundreds of ships are attacking each other. Countless death cries reach you, much closer than they should be, while huge vessels sink beneath the waves. This is the Battle of the Agathis, the naval clash that put an end to almost 25 years of war. The first war against Carthage. The sea was their domain, and yet they were defeated. A little more than 30 years later, Rome is facing tremendous odds once more. Somehow the vision strengthens your resolve. Ah yes, the biggest naval battle in history. By amount of ships. You spend a lot of time sparring with veterans and talented fighters. We have quite the skills. I don't know why these are actually here, because they're never used, as far as I know. Tesserarius, you're a guard commander in one of the 2 centuries of your maniple. It's over a year since the capture of New Carthage. The Carthaginians have failed to respond properly, hindered by rivalries and lack of cooperation among their generals. After the winter came and went, Proconsul Scipio sent you on the move once again, marching against the closest enemy army. Led by Hasdrubal Barca, one of Hannibal's brothers, the Carthaginians are holding a high 2-step plateau near the town of Baecula. Baecula? Don't know how to pronounce it. A fine defensive position indeed. Dislodging them from there looks like a rather hopeless task, but the proconsul must know what is clear to everyone. The longer you'll stay here waiting, the higher the risk that the remaining 2 enemy armies will come and crush you. The wait is nerve-wracking, and at last comes the dreaded order. The assault begins. Apparently your skirmishers, the Velites, will have to engage the enemy light infantry holding the lower plateau. Picked units of heavy infantry are ordered to support them. That's certainly an enviable task. With relief you'll learn that your maniple will be kept in reserve. The frontal assault is underway when Proconsul Scipio himself takes the lead of half the remaining force. As the Carthaginians are busy repelling your soldiers, he leads you around their position. And that could be a possibility. And then the question is, which character and story will we have? You're climbing the slope at a fast pace when a small group of Numidian cavalrymen approaches and starts harassing you with their javelins. In famous light cavalry of antiquity, the terrain is far from propitious for a cavalry attack, but they keep pressing you. Respond by throwing a javelin. You take aim at one of the closest horsemen. He barely evades your missile. Pain, I wanted to hit him. At last, they recall their attack and ride away. As you reach a plateau, you shake off the weariness and prepare to fight. It looks like Hasdrubal has sent reinforcements to his first line, but they are only partially deployed and clearly not expecting you. You charge the nearest group into the flank. When the other side is at the right distance, you prepare to hurl your first javelin. You take aim at one of the enemy soldiers and throw. You miss, but it was not bad. As the other side gets closer and closer, you steel yourself for the incoming fight. Libyan Spearmen. A professional heavy footman from Africa. They are the backbone of the Punic infantry and they deserve their high reputation. Can't really knock him. Yes, that's good. A citizen serving in the army, just like you. Yes, Shiri. That's one of them. Eh. It's a good hit. Basically the same amount of chance. Nope. Which isn't injured enough for extra points. Attacked from all sides, the Carthaginian line is collapsing. Many are taken prisoner. But in the meantime, the bulk of Hasdrubal's force manages to escape. At last, you are ordered to plunder the enemy camp. You set to the task with renewed enthusiasm. The enemy camp is a bit of a disappointment. It looks like the Carthaginians were able to take most of their valuables with them when they retreated. Let's stay with the large group. While searching, your squad bumps into a small group of men and women. There are a dozen or so, some rather young. They look and sound like Celtiberians. Probably slaves captured by the Carthaginians during their recent campaigns. They must have been left behind when the enemy retreated. You must be careful, for they have even managed to find weapons. The tension rises, partially because of language difficulties, partially because they are afraid of being made prisoner again. Many of them are holding their weapons awkwardly. Should it come to violence, there's only one way this is going to end. You're the highest ranking legionary present. Try to quiet things down. You have little difficulty keeping your men in check. At last the slaves lay down their weapons and turned themselves in. There's little more that you can accomplish here. Hasdrubal is heading north, intent on crossing the Pyrenees with the remnants of his army. The proconsul refuses to pursue him, and many of the troops are frustrated with his decision. But you're glad that he came to this decision. Following Hasdrubal now, with 2 more armies behind you, could be a prelude to disaster. It would jeopardize all the efforts you've made in the last 2 years. The Carthaginians you captured are sold into slavery, and the revenue is shared amongst the troops. Scipio orders the Celtiberian prisoners to be released. This will help secure more alliances with the local tribes. Among them slaves you rescued in the abandoned camp. Yay! Yay, skill up. Your ability to recognize the guard is irreproachable, yet again. You found a soldier Quartius asleep at his guard post. This is a very serious matter. Such misconduct is punishable by death. Quartius is so desperate he's offering you 100 denarii to forget about this incident. It's more than a year's wage for him. After expenses, you look at the witnesses accompanying you. Both are suddenly busy staring at the ground. You make it very clear that if something like this happens again, you'll be first in line to beat him to death. Decimatio. You'll be the first in line to beat him to death. He thanks you for sparing him. Your witnesses looked relieved. They weren't eager to send one of their own to death either. You're escorting an ambassador of Scipio's to a meeting with a local chieftain. The talks are not going well. A palpable tension is growing. Try to cut in and help. Even mediated by an interpreter, your eloquence is worthy of the rostra. You'll bring the situation back to normal, and talks go on until they come to an agreement. Let's work out a bit. I think my skills are a little too high. And again, we're foraging. Oh, I want those villages. Nothing there. Nothing here. Nothing there either. As you approach a village, a hail of stones greets you. Many peasants are gathered straight ahead. Makeshift weapons right there. You instruct your men to avoid using the weapons to kill unless strictly necessary. When all is ready, you try to slowly entice the villagers out of their position, bringing them where you can surround them. Your tactics work like a charm. By the time the peasants realize what's happening, you have them surrounded. The few remaining out of your trap have no choice but to surrender. The clash is won without a single casualty. You leave the village with a load of supplies. Eh. Completed your mission. See if we can get a better weapon. I kinda hate it that you kinda need to look, especially for something to sell and the like. Compare. It's much better. Only one. It's the same. Pectoral plate. Guidance seal of eclipse. It's a long title. Let's move on. When your third spring in this land so far away from home comes, Rome is in control of most of eastern Hispania. Your progress has been admirable, but the war is still far from over. Bloodstained Gaiden, Seal of Eclipse. A bit of a long title. March of Hasdrubal Barca and the remnants of his army brought some relief, but the Carthaginians have not. Tashiro. What is his weapons or background? The March of Hasdrubal Barca and the remnants of his army brought some relief, but the Carthaginians have not been sitting around this time. According to the latest reports from the west, a new general named Hanno. There's a lot of Hannibals and Hannos. He's raising an army, recruiting Celtiberian volunteers after bringing reinforcements from his homeland. Your legion is attached to a 10,000 strong army under the orders of M. Silanus, one of Scipio's legates, and sent west to cope with this new threat. Time is of the essence, and your forced march is almost beyond tolerable limits. During this time, you're not only pulling your own weight, you're also a constant source of encouragement for your companions. With the invaluable help of some Celtiberian deserters, you eventually come close to the enemy position. When news of what's ahead of you starts spreading, you learn that there are two enemy camps, one composed of Celtiberian volunteers, and the other of Carthaginians. The first one seems to be much less defended and an ideal point of attack, but Silanus wants to play it safe and is preparing more scouting teams. Volunteer is Tashiro. So I'm quite curious what his weapon would be, his moveset, background. A villain named Calvisius and Eoer Bellis, a Celtiberian guide, will be your scouting team. Eoer Bellis knows the ground full well and lets you approach the enemy position with minimal risk. When you are very close, you have to cross a stretch of land with poor cover in order to get a better look. Let's take the risk. Heart pounding, you try to move as quickly and silently as possible. You make it safely to the other side. You carefully commit to memory every detail about the weak links in the defenses of the Celtiberian camp, as well as the best approach path. Judging by the number of tents and what you see, there are less than 10,000 men here. No more than half are Scutari. Heavy infantrymen. Experience sharpens your mind. Yay! And Nagamaki. Ah, yes. I know that weapon. When you are satisfied, you signal the others that you can go back. You're about 1 mile from the camps. A gentle breeze is stirring the vegetation all around you. Ping. For a brief moment you think you have heard something, but it is probably just the wind. After a while you reach the valley where the bulk of your army is hidden, a report where you have learned. Everything is ready now. It's time to approach the enemy camp and get prepared for the onslaught. The irregular ground offers plenty of cover as your army approaches the Celtiberian camp. Nagimaki. A sword with a longer scabbard so you can better hold it with 2 hands. Oh, scabbard. Handle. Guard. No. You're not very distant when it finally comes into sight. The defenders must have started pouring out of the camp. They are still too late, but you were expecting a slower reaction. You suspect that they might have been alerted when they detected some of your scouts. Fortunately, you seem to have had a significant head start anyway. You'll meet a stronger resistance than you expected, but they shouldn't be able to stop you in the end. The ground is very difficult here. It's disrupting your formation. Like many others, you become separated from your maniple while passing through a patch of undergrowth. An enemy vanguard reaches you right at this time and many duels spark off. One of the Celtiberian troops is looking at you, ready to fling his spear. Anticipate him with your own. Your attack spoils his aim. His missile falls wide of the mark. Missed. Boink. Siri. Your maniple quickly reforms and prepares to meet a second wave. The Carthaginian light infantry is rushing to the aid of the Celtiberians, filling the gaps in their formation. Libyan light infantryman. Ding. Ouch. Come on. Fortuna, bless me, please. Yay, another kill. And we're rotating. It's difficult to figure out. They're getting tired. Yes. Okay, killing machine. Neck. Extra damage. He's dead, so a semi-professional Hispanian heavy infantry. This particular man looks rather young and not as confident as they usually are. And rotating again. What remains of the enemy scatters before your advance. Your army occupies the first camp and captures Hanoi himself. Meanwhile, the Carthaginians have left the other base, withdrawing to the safety of their cities in the west. It may look like a small victory, but your early intervention prevented a far greater danger from arising. Yay! Skill up. And a promotion to Optio. Yay. Well, it isn't so far the finest playthrough, but it's still fun. But I am going to end this stream at this. Thank you all for watching now in the future, and see you again next time. このストリームは終わりましょう。ではでは、おつふり、またね。じゃあね。バイバイ。Thank you for coming, James, and see you again next time. And also special thanks to Kazune. Yes. See you later. And special thanks to Kazuna, who, despite feeling unwell, did come. Hopefully, he'll get better. Bien. Okay, bye-bye.